Hello, everybody. My name is Afrah,
And I'm Iman.
and today we'd like to inform you guys a little bit about influence and impact and how it can help us as individuals and ultimately our schools grow as a whole.
As John Maxwell has said, the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less.
When thinking of the words influence or impact, the names Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, Rosa Parks, and many others probably cross your mind. But the truth is, something as big as making an impact starts with something as small as a smile.
Now, you are probably thinking that this is the cheesiest, most scripted speech given by some teenagers. But if you really think about it, then you will come to find out that being influenced and influencing others is a natural instinct that we all have.
We found an example of this natural instinct with a social experiment that was done by a psychologist by the name of Solomon Asch. And his main goal was to investigate the extent of how individuals yielded to or defied a majority group and the effect of such influences.
Basically, Solomon Asch gathered a group of 8 men to participate in the vision test, which was actually a cover-up for the lab experiment. This is one of the many pictures that he showed to participants. He simply asked each person through the trials to state aloud which comparison line, A, B, or C, was most like the target line. And the answer was always obvious, as you can see.
But the trick was that he selected 7 of the 8 participants beforehand and prompted them all to say the same wrong answers on purpose. In the naive one, the one that wasn't told beforehand, he or she would be placed purposely last to state his or her answer, and whether or not they conformed to the wrong answer was recorded to see the results of how many people conformed and were influenced.
Over the 12 critical trials, about 75% of participants conformed at least once. This just goes to show how easily people are influenced. It was found that people conform for 2 main reasons. One being because they want to fit in with a group, which is labeled as normative influence, and the other is because they believe another group is better informed than they are, which is informational influence. Unfortunately, when we hear the words influence or impact, we get scared because they come with the preconceived notion that we have to change someone or turn their life around.
But in our schools, impact starts by being that one person in a group of people that are complaining to taking a step back and saying it could be worse and making light of the situation. Influence indicates that a person has the ability to impact another person and their behavior. At LPS and all of our respective schools, we're taught to recognize that we have a responsibility to foster a culture of growth and have a positive impact on our peers.
Yeah, speaking of like positive impact and being influenced positively, um, I feel like being negatively impact is so hard to push away that I think I'm thinking of this example that when we were maybe playing trivia or something as a friend group, and one of the questions, the answer, like everybody in the group had picked one answer out, and then I had picked another answer out, and I thought like, okay, since everybody's going with that answer, I'm just gonna go with the crowd, and I went with the crowd, and that answer was actually wrong. So I had that regret that okay, I should have, like, oh, now I'm just wrong like everybody else. I should have like deviated from the norm and just went with what I felt was right. And so Afra, like, do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? That honestly, that goes to show that even though it may be hard to filter out the negative influence, it can save you the regret later. Like you're saying you regretted like, not choosing the answer that you with your like going with your gut instinct and focusing on that positive influence.
Yeah. So the next thing we're going to talk about are the 5 levels of influence by John C. Maxwell. These levels are especially beneficial in project-based learning environments and just generally in other work environments. They add to the dynamics of our relationships with others to have an outcome of success.
Let's start with level 1, which is simply the position based on the title, not the talent. This is like what some people would call the entry level. We all start here at one point or another, but it's critical that we quickly grow from here and take this title of just a student at so-and-so school to the next level. You need to take this as an opportunity to work on your self-leadership skills. The keyword here is rights.
Level 2 is permission, where people actually want to follow you. And this comes with building relationships and winning trusts. This is key to making an impact, but becoming too comfortable in this stage of development will cause a plateau in your ability to influence productively. Keyword here is relationships.
All right, so now we're in the middle, right at production. People now follow you because of what you have done for the organization. In this level, you want to see results, which pertains to achieving a culture of growth. The most amount of success is produced at this stage. The keyword here is results.
In level 4, people development, people will follow you based on what you have done for them. At this point, you have made an impact on some, but you need to expand and develop new key leaders from your experiences. By tackling this level, we can turn our whole schools, all of our schools, into a bunch of distinguished leaders one by one. Keyword here is reproduction.
All right, so now we're at the highest level of achievement, also known as the pinnacle, which is deemed as the most challenging to reach. And that's mainly because people follow you because of who you are and what you have done. Now you have to be willing to devote some of your time into the lives of others for the greater good. The keyword here is reputation.
Overall, the pyramid is a great guide for us all to follow and execute so that we can grow as a team. Another model to look at when talking about influence, more specifically inspiring people, is the golden circle created by Simon Sinek.
So the Golden Circle was originally made as this framework for aspiring entrepreneurs because it provided this foundation for innovation, building trust. But as we progress in the presentation, I think we'll all come to see that the concepts from the Golden Circle are conducive to building a great leader as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the big picture, great leaders and organizations like Apple, Wright Brothers, they're all alike in the way that they think, act, and communicate. The Golden Circle basically enables us to recognize that in order to be successful and make an impact, we should try to tackle three things. So you need to understand and reflect on what you do, and this is very surface level. Every business, every organization, every group, every team knows what they do. It's a basic thing. The next kind of level, you can say, or step is to understand how you do it or your process. So it's not groundbreaking to know this, recognize this. It's done by most people. So it's just the process. So the final level, the most important one that kind of makes or breaks the success that you have is you have to reflect and ponder and really hone in on why you do what you do, your why, your purpose.
And this isn't just an opinion. These are proven by studies in biology. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of things. Essentially, the brain is broken down into three components, starting with our neocortex, which correlates with the what. This allows us to have reasonable and analytical thought as well as reasoning. As well as language. The middle two sections make up our limbic brains, which let us have feelings about certain things such as trust, human behavior, loyalty, and so on and so forth. In order to let people rationalize decisions, we have to talk from the inside out instead of the outside in. That way, our brain can directly receive a message which will allow us to control our behavior.
So to conclude this lesson, remember that those who start with the why have the ability to inspire others or find others who inspire them. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.